your salary disappeared tomorrow, who would you be? That question sat quietly in Daniel's mind every morning as he swiped into the office, coffee in hand, smile in place. On paper, his life looked stable. A steady paycheck arrived each month. Bills were paid on time, and nothing was truly wrong. Yet beneath that comfort lived a quiet restlessness, a sense of being slowly boxed in. The salary made him feel safe, but it also made him careful, hesitant, afraid to breathe too deeply. He wasn't lazy or ungrateful. He was capable, ambitious, and aware that something felt off. Most people never realize they're addicted to security until the paycheck becomes a leash, silently steering every decision they make daily. Daniel's days followed a rhythm so familiar it barely required thought. The same alarm, the same commute, the same desk facing the same pale office wall. Fridays brought relief, not joy, as the salary notification arrived like a small sedative, calming his nerves for another month. Outwardly, everything was stable. Inside, something felt hollow. He noticed how the comfort numbed his curiosity and how the predictability slowly erased his courage. The job didn't crush him, quietly contained him. Each payday whispered, "Stay." Each routine day made change feel dangerous. The salary felt like safety, yet it drained, meaning drop by drop, placing possibility with caution and ambition with the quiet dread of losing what little certainty he had left. Daniel told himself he was being responsible, but the truth felt heavier each year. The ideas he once carried stayed parked in notebooks, postponed for some day that never arrived. His creativity dimmed, not from lack of talent, but from lack of permission. Every ambitious thought was quickly silenced by a louder voice asking about rent, groceries, and emergencies. Bills became boundaries. Family expectations became invisible chains. Friends praised his secure job, never noticing how small that praise made his world feel. He feared judgment more than regret, and so he stayed. Over time, ambition didn't disappear. It shrank, carefully folding itself into something manageable, something safe. He stopped dreaming big and started negotiating with fear, calling it maturity. Yet late at night, when the noise faded, a question returned uninvited. Was he building a life, or just protecting one? Many people confuse stability with growth, mistaking stillness for progress. Daniel had not yet noticed the difference, and that blindness was costing him more than money. Time passed quietly, and each safe choice trained his fear to grow stronger every single day. Burnout arrived quietly, disguised as a normal Tuesday. Daniel stared at his screen, exhausted by work that no longer challenged him. When an email announced a role he once dreamed of, now filled by someone else, that moment broke something open. That evening, instead of scrolling for distraction, he visited an old bookstore he used to love. A thin book fell from the shelf, opening to a line that stopped him. Safety is not the absence of risk, but the presence of options. Later, he remembered a former manager, now retired, who once asked him a simple question. If this job vanished, what could you create tomorrow? The question lingered, unsettling yet honest. It wasn't about quitting recklessly. It was about redefining security. Was his salary truly protecting him, or preventing him from building real security? The thought refused to leave. That night, Daniel imagined his salary as a golden cage. The bars were polished, comfortable, even admired by others, but they were still bars. Inside, he was fed just enough to stay calm, just enough to stay quiet. Outside was uncertainty, yes, but also movement, air, and choice. He realized most of his decisions were not guided by desire, but by fear. Fear of falling behind. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of starting small again. The paycheck had slowly become more than income. It was an emotional anchor, heavy and reassuring, keeping him from drifting into unknown waters. He saw how every opportunity was filtered through one question. Is this safe? Never. Is this alive? In that moment, the metaphor shifted. A life raft is meant to save you, not keep you tied to shore forever. Daniel understood then that security without growth becomes a quiet trap. Salary hadn't ruined him. It had simply convinced him that staying still was the same as being safe. And that realization frightened him more than any risk he had avoided before now. Security soothes the nervous system, but it slowly weakens the muscles of growth. That was the psychology Daniel finally saw. A salary reduces anxiety by offering certainty, yet that same certainty teaches the mind to avoid discomfort at all costs. Over time, fear disguises itself as responsibility. The lesson was not to abandon safety, but to understand it. Survival needs are simple and measurable. Fear is vague and endless. One can be planned for, the other will never be satisfied. Real confidence does not come from a paycheck, but from skills that travel with you anywhere. Growth begins by testing risk in small, controlled ways. Learning after work, building income on the side, speaking up, asking for more. When you prove to yourself that you can adapt, security stops being a cage and becomes a choice. The goal is independence. Daniel didn't quit overnight, and he didn't burn his life down to feel brave. Instead, he redefined what safety meant. He began treating adaptability as insurance and self-trust as real security. He started a small side project after work, not to escape immediately, but to remind himself he could create value beyond one role. He set clearer boundaries at his job, saved intentionally, and invested time and skills that made him harder to replace. Slowly, the paralysis loosened. Fear didn't vanish, but it softened. Where panic once lived, a calm courage took its place. He no longer clung to the paycheck as proof of worth. The salary became one tool, not his identity. For the first time, staying felt like a choice, not a trap, and that changed everything. Security isn't a salary, it's knowing you can survive change. When you trust yourself to adapt, fear loses its grip. Ask yourself honestly, what would you do if fear wasn't deciding for you? Sit with that answer. And if this story resonated, share, subscribe, and pass it to someone who needs courage today. Right now, quietly, before life forces to question it.